السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. والحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين. And all the praises are for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and send the peace and blessings upon the Prophet, his family and his Sahaba. Episode 17. The farewell pilgrimage. After the accomplishment of the call, the proclamation of the message, and the establishment of a new society on the basis of there is no God but Allah, and on the Muhammad's mission, a secret call uprose in the heart of the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, telling him that his stay in the lower world was about to terminate. That was clear in his talk to Mu'adh, whom he had dispatched to Yemen in the 10th year of Al-Hijrah. O Mu'adh, you may not see me after this current year. You may even pass by this very mosque of mine and my tomb. Upon hearing that, Mu'adh cried for fear that he would part with the Messenger of Allah. The Messenger of Allah announced an intention to proceed with this blessed pilgrimage journey himself. Enormous crowds of people came to Medina, all of whom seek the guidance and imamate of the Messenger of Allah in the pilgrimage, the Hajj. On a Saturday of the last 4 days of Dhul Qadha, the Prophet ﷺ started the departure preparation procedure. He combed his hair, applied some perfume, wore his garment, saddled his camel, and set off in the afternoon. He arrived at Dhul Hulayfa before the afternoon prayer. He performed 2 rakah and spent the night there. When it was morning, he said to his companions, "A comer sent by my Lord has come on me tonight and said, pray in this blessed valley and say, I intend Umrah combined with pilgrimage, Umrah into Al-Hajj." He proceeded with this journey till he approached Mecca. He spent the night in the Thuwa and entered Mecca. After performing the dawn prayer, he had a bath on Sunday morning, the 4th of Dhul Hijjah, the 10th year of Al-Hijrah. He spent 8 days on the way, which was an average period. As soon as he entered Al-Haram mosque, he circumambulated Kaaba and walked to and fro Sa'i and he did Sa'i, that is Safa and Marwa. He did not finish the Ihram because he was intending Umrah and Al-Hajj both. He then took Al-Hadi, that is the sacrificial animal, in order to slaughter them. He camped on a high place of Makkah, Al-Hajun. As for circumambulation, he performed only that of Al-Hajj. On the 8th day of Dhul Hijjah, that is the day of Tarwiyah, he left for Medina. He left for Mina, where he performed the noon, the afternoon, the sunset, the evening, and the dawn prayer. That is all the 5 prayers. Then he stayed for a while till the sun rose up. Then he passed along till he reached Arafah, where there was a tent built for him at Namira. He sat inside till the sun went down. He ordered that Al-Qaswa, his she-camel, should be prepared for him. They saddled it and had it ready. So he went down the valley where 124 or 44,000 people gathered around him. There he stood up and delivered the following speech. O people, listen to what I say. I do not know whether I will ever meet you at this place once again after this current year. It is unlawful for you to shed the blood of one another, to take unlawfully the fortunes of one another. They are as unlawful, haram, as shedding blood on such a day as today, and in such a month as this month, and in such a sanctified city as this sacred city, that is the Mecca. Behold, all practices of paganism and ignorance are now under my feet. The blood revenge of the day of ignorance, pre-Islamic time, are remitted. The first claim on the blood I abolish is that of Ibn Rabi' bin Harith, who was nurse in the tribe of Sa'ad and whom Hudayl killed. Usury is forbidden, and I make a beginning by remitting the amount of interest which Abbas bin Abdul Muttalib had to receive. Verily, it is remitted entirely. O people, fear Allah concerning women. Verily you have taken them on the security of Allah and have made their persons lawful unto you by words of Allah. It is incumbent upon them to honor their conjugal rights and not to commit acts of impropriety, which if they do, you have authority to chastise them, yet not severely. If your wives refrain from impropriety and are faithful to you, clothe and feed them suitably. Verily, I have left amongst you the book of Allah and the sunnah of this messenger, which if you hold fast, you shall never go astray. O people, I am not succeeded by a prophet, and you are not succeeded by any nation. So I recommend you to worship your Lord, to pray the 5 prayers, to fast Ramadan, and to offer zakat of your provision willingly. I recommend you to do the pilgrimage to the sacred house of your Lord and to obey those who are in charge of you. Then you will be awarded to enter the paradise of your Lord. And if you were asked about me, what wanted you to say? They replied, we bear witness that you have conveyed the message and discharged your ministry. He then raised his forefinger skywards and then moved it down towards people while saying, O Allah, bear witness. He said that phrase thrice. Then one who repeated the Prophet's statement loudly at Arafat was Rabi'a bin Umayyah bin Khalaf. As soon as the Prophet had accomplished delivering the speech, the following Quranic verses was revealed to him. This day I have perfected your religion for you, completed my favor upon you, and have chosen for you Islam as your religion. Al-Quran chapter 5 verse 3. Upon hearing these words, Umar cried, what makes you cry? He was asked. His answer was, nothing succeeds perfection but imperfection. Bilal called for prayer after the speech and then made the second call. The Prophet performed both of the noon and the afternoon prayers separately, with no prayers in between. He then mounted his she-camel al-Qaswa, approached the location of vigil, directed his face towards al-Qibla, kept on standing till sunset, when the sky yellow color vanished a bit and the disk of the sun disappeared. Usama added that the Prophet moved onwards to Muzdalifah, where he observed the sunset and the evening prayer with 1 first call and 2 second calls. He did not entertain the glory of Allah between the 2 prayers. Then he lay down till it was dawn prayer time. He performed it with 1 first call and 1 second call at almost daybreak time. Mounting on his al-Qaswa, he moved towards al-Mashar al-Haram. He faced al-Qibla and started supplicating, Allah is the greatest, there is no God but Allah. He remained there till it was clear morning, and before the sun rose high, he made his way to Mina. He walked a little and threaded the mid-road leading to Big Jamrah, where he stopped and pelted 7 pebbles at it, saying, Allah is great each time. They were like small pebbles hurled from the bottom of the valley. Then he set off to sacrificial place, where he sacrificed 63 camels with his hand and asked Ali to slaughter the others. 137 altogether. He made Ali share him in al-Hadi. A piece of meat from each slaughtered animal was ordered to be cooked in a pot, and from which both men ate and drank the soup. The Messenger of Allah mounted his she-camel and returned to the house, where he observed the noon prayer at Makkah, and there he came upon the children of Abdul Muttalib were supplying drinking water to people at Zamzam well. Draw up water, children of Abdul Muttalib. I would draw up with you if I were not afraid that people would appropriate this honor after me. They handed him a pail of water, and he drank to his fill. The Messenger of Allah spent al-Tashriq days, that is 11th, 12th, and 13th of Dhul Hijjah in Mina, performing the ritual teachings of Islam, remembering Allah, following the ways of guidance of Ibrahim, wiping out all trace and features of polytheism. On the second day of Nafr, that is departure, on the 13th day of Dhul Hijjah, the Prophet proceeded with a Nafar to Mina and stayed at a high place of a mountainside at Bani Kinana from Al-Abtah. He spent the rest of that day and night there, where he performed the noon and the afternoon, the sunset and the evening prayers. Then he slept for a short while and mounted, leaving for the Kaaba. He performed the farewell circumambulation, Tawaf al-Wada. After ordering his companions to do the same thing, upon the accomplishment of his religious rituals, he quickened his move to the purified Medina. He went there not to seek rest, but to resume the strife and struggle in the way of Allah. The last expeditions. The pride of the Byzantine state made it deny Muslims their right to live. The Byzantine arrogance made them even kill those agents of theirs who embraced Islam. Killing Farwa bin Amr al-Judhami, who was their agent on Ma'un, was an evidence of their arrogance. Due to that arrogance and presumptuousness of the Byzantine, the Messenger of Allah started to mobilize a great army in Safar in the 11th year of Al-Hijrah and made it under the command of Osama bin Zayd bin Haritha, with orders to have the horses of Muslim friends on the lands bordering Al-Balqa and Ad-Darum of Palestine. The journey to Allah the Sublime. Symptoms of fable. When the call to Islam grew complete and the new faith dominated the whole situation, the Messenger of Allah started to develop certain symptoms that bespoke of leave taking. They could be perceived through his statements and deeds. In Ramadan, in the 10th year of Al-Hijrah, he secluded himself for 20 days in contrast to 10 previously. The Archangel Jibreel reviewed the Quran twice with him, his words in the fable pilgrimage, that is Al-Wida. I do not know whether I will ever meet you at this place once again after this current year. The Prophet ﷺ went on to Uhud and observed a farewell prayer to the martyrs. I am to precede you, and I have been made witness upon you. By Allah, you will meet me at the fountain very soon. I have been given the keys of the worldly treasures. By Allah, I do not fear for you that you will turn polytheists after me. But I do fear that acquisition of the worldly riches should entice you to strike one another's neck. On the Monday, the 29th of Safar, in the 11th year of Al-Hijrah, he participated in funerals rites in Al-Baqi. On the way back, he had a headache. His temperature rose so high that the heat effect could be felt over his headband. He led the Muslims in prayer for 11 days, though he was sick. The total number of his sick days were either 13 or 14, the last week. When his sickness grew severe, he asked his wives, "Where shall I stay tomorrow? Where shall I stay tomorrow?" They understood that he wanted, so they allowed him to stay wherever he wished. He moved to Aisha's room, leaning while he was walking on Al-Fadl bin Al-Abbas and Ali bin Abi Talib. Headbanded as he was, he dragged his feet till he came into her boat. It was there that he spent the last week of his life. On Wednesday, 5 days before he died, the Prophet's temperature rose so high, signaling the severeness of his disease. He fainted and suffered from pain. "Pour out on me some qirab, water skin pots of various water wells, so that I may go out to meet people and talk to them." So they seated him in a container usually used for washing and poured out water on him till he said, "That is enough, that is enough." Then he felt well enough to enter the mosque. He entered it bareheaded, sat on the pulpit, and made a speech to the people who were gathering together around him. He said, "The curse of Allah falls upon the Jews and the Christians, for they have made their prophet's tomb place of worship." Then he said, "Do not make my tomb a worshipped idol." Then he offered himself and invited the people to repay any injuries he might have inflicted on them, saying, "He whom I have ever lashed his back, I offer him my back so that he may avenge himself on me. He whom I have ever blasphemed his honor, here I am offering my honor so that he may avenge himself." Then he descended and performed the noon prayer. Again he returned to the pulpit and sat on it. He resumed his first speech about the enmity and some of other things. A man then said, "You owe me 3 dirhams." The Prophet said, "Fadl, pay him the money." He went on saying, "I admonish you to be a good I admonish you to be good to Ansar. They are my family, and with them I found shelter. They have acquitted themselves credibly of the responsibility that fell upon them, and now there remains what you have to do. You should fully acknowledge and appreciate the favor that they have shown, and should overlook their faults." Then the Messenger of Allah said, "The fellow I feel more secure in his company is Abu Bakr. If I were to make friendship with any other one than Allah, I would have Abu Bakr a bosom friend of mine. For him I feel affection and brotherhood of Islam. No gate shall be kept open in the mosque except that of Abu Bakr's." On Thursday, 4 days before his death, the Messenger of Allah, he said to people, though he was suffering from severe pain, "Come here, I will cause you to write something so that you will never fall into error." Upon this, Umar bin al-Khattab said, "The Prophet of Allah is suffering from acute pain and you have the Quran with you. The book of Allah is sufficient unto you." Others, however, wanted the writing to be made. When Muhammad heard them debating over it, he ordered them to go away and leave him alone. That day he recommended 3 things. Jews and Christians and politics should be expelled out of Arabia. He recommended that delegations should be honored and entertained in a way similar to the one he used to do. For the third, the narrator said that he had forgotten. It could have been adherence to the Holy Book and the Sunnah. It was likely to be the accomplishment and the mobilization of Osama's army, or it could have been performance of prayers and being attentive to slaves. In spite of the strain of disease and suffering from pain, the Prophet ﷺ used to lead all the prayers till that Thursday, 4 days before he died. On that day he led the sunset prayer and recited, "By the winds sent forth one after another." Al-Quran chapter 77 verse 1. In the evening he grew so sick that he could not overcome the strain of disease or go out to enter the mosque. Aisha said, "The Prophet asked, 'Have the people performed the prayer?' 'No, they haven't. They are waiting for you. Put some water in the washing pot.' We did what he ordered. So he washed and wanted to stand up, but he fainted. When he came around, he asked again, 'Have the people prayed?' Then the same sequence of event took place again and again for the second and the third times, from the time he washed to the time he fainted after his attempts to stand up. Therefore he sent to Abu Bakr to lead the prayer himself. Abu Bakr then led the prayer during those days. There were 17 prayers in the lifetime of Prophet Muhammad. 3 or 4 times Aisha talked to the Prophet to exempt Abu Bakr from leadership in prayer, lest people should despair of him. But he refused and said, "You women are like the women who tried to entice Joseph into immorality. Convey my request to Abu Bakr to lead the prayer." A day or two prior to death, on Saturday or Sunday, the Prophet felt that he was well enough to perform the prayer, so he went out leaning on 2 men in order to perform the noon prayer. Abu Bakr, who was then about to lead the prayer, withdrew when he saw him coming. The Prophet made him a gesture to stay where he was and said, "Seat me next to him." They seated him on the left-hand side of Abu Bakr. The Prophet ﷺ led the prayer and Abu Bakr followed him and raised his voice at every Allahu Akbar. The Prophet said, "So that the people may hear clearly." A day before his death, On Sunday, the day before he died, the Prophet set his slaves free, paid as a charity the 7 dinars he owned, and gave his weapons as a present to the Muslim. So, when night fell, Aisha had to borrow some oil from her neighbor to light her oil lantern. Even his armor was mortgaged as a security with a Jew for 30 sa', a cubic measure of barley. The last day alive. In a narration by Anas bin Malik, he said, while the Muslims were performing the dawn prayer on Monday, led by Abu Bakr, they were surprised to see the Messenger of Allah raising the curtain of Aisha's room. He looked at them while they were praying, aligned properly, and smiled cheerfully. Seeing him, Abu Bakr withdrew to join the lines and give way to him to lead the prayer, for he thought that the Prophet wanted to go out and pray. Anas said, the Muslims who were praying were so delighted that they were almost too enraptured at their prayers. The Messenger of Allah made them a gesture to continue their prayer and went into the room and drew down the curtain. The Messenger of Allah did not live for the next prayer time. When it was daytime, the Prophet ﷺ called Fatima and told her something in a secret voice that made her cry. Then he whispered to her something else which made her laugh. Aisha inquired from her after the Prophet's death as to this weeping and laughing, to which Fatima replied, the first time he disclosed to me that he would not recover from his illness, and I wept. Then he told me that I would be the first of his family to join him, so I laughed. He gave Fatima glad tidings that she would become the lady of all women of the world. Fatima witnessed the great pain that afflicted her father, so she said, what great pain my father is in. To these words the Prophet remarked, he will not suffer any more when today is over. He asked that Al-Hassan and Hussein be brought to him. He kissed them and recommended that they be looked after. He asked to see his wife. They were brought to him. He praised them and told them to remember Allah. Pain grew so much severe that the trace of poison he had in Khaybar came to light. It was so sore that he said to Aisha, I still feel the pain effect of that food I tasted at Khaybar. I feel as if death is approaching. He ordered the people to perform the prayers and be attentive to slave. He repeated it several times. When the pangs of death started, Aisha leant him against her. She used to say, one of Allah's bounties upon me is that the Messenger of Allah died in my house while I was still alive. He died between my chest and neck while he was leaning against me. Allah has mixed his saliva with mine at his death. For Abdurrahman, the son of Abu Bakr, came in with a siwak in his hand while I was leaning the Messenger of Allah. While I was leaning the Messenger of Allah against me, I noticed that he was looking at the siwak. So I asked him for if he wanted, would you like me to take it for you? He nodded. In agreement, I took it and gave it to him. As it was too hard for him, I asked him, shall I soften it for you? He nodded in agreement. So I softened it with my saliva, and he passed it on his teeth. There is no God but Allah. Death is full of agonies. As soon as he had finished his siwak brushing, he raised his hand on his finger up, looked upwards to the ceiling, and moved his lips. So Aisha listened to him. She heard him saying, with those on whom you have bestowed your grace, with the Prophet and the truthful one, the martyrs and the good doers, O Allah, forgive me and have mercy upon me and join me to the companionship on high. Then, at the intervals, he uttered these words, the most exalted companionship on high. To Allah we turn, and to Him we turn back for help and last abode. This event took place at high morning time on Monday, 12th of Rabi al-Awwal, in the 11th year of Al-Hijrah. He was 63 years and 4 days old when he died. The great loss news was soon known by everybody in Medina. Dark grief spread on all areas and horizons of Medina. Anas said, I have never witnessed a day brighter, better, or brighter than that day on which the Messenger of Allah came to us, and I have never witnessed a more awful or darker day than that one on which the Messenger of Allah died on. When he died, Fatima said, O Father, whom his Lord responded to his supplication, O Father, whose abode is paradise, O Father, whom I announce his death to Jibreel. That's for today. We'll come back with the last chapter very soon. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Please share and subscribe the channel so most of us benefit from this seerah. Thank you.